USC on a Friday night lights gets better. The offense looks like it's healthy again with Lemon 8 getting full swing, having some great games. Also, the defense for a second week in a row makes some adjustments, comes out strong, and shuts down the opposition. Those things, whatever you guys can come up with, we're open up the StreamYard and phone calls coming up next.
Well done, Tim. Well done. It's early, and you got that intro great. You looked fantastic doing it.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I got 4 hours of sleep, but good sleep because I was actually up. I was looking at stats, and sports information office gets out information, as you know, and I was kind of sifting through that, looking at some of the fun facts they throw at us. So it should be a fun show. This is, guys, a participation show, so we need you guys sounding off in the chat, joining us here in StreamYard or on the phone line. Phone line is 888-997-4539, 888-99-RILEY. Give us a call. Let us know what you think about the game last night. Did the offense look like the number one offense in the Big Ten to you? It sure did to me. We will hear your thoughts on that. And then the defense, again, Ryan, 2 weeks in a row where USC's defense comes out after halftime, makes those adjustments that are so important for a football team. And really, that's coaching. Adjustments is definitely coaching. So he's not working in the first half. You go back to the drawing board, you switch some things up, and you see what you got. But how are you doing on a nice frosty California Saturday morning?
Yeah, no, great. Tired like you. Got home at like 12:30 last night and up at 7:30, and here we are 9 live right when the college games are going up. So a little different. Usually it's a victory Sunday. It's technically, I guess, a victory Saturday, which is always nice to kind of just enjoy the day and know your team's already won. But no, I'm doing great. It was a fun atmosphere last night. Obviously, me and you did a little quick immediate reaction, which was great on the field. I ordered a new tripod already, Tim, so we won't have the height issue. We'll be looking good out on the field for the remaining 2 home games. So
Ryan, did you see that comment? Did you see the comment? One of the comments was, "Hey, great job, guys, but I think you guys need a taller cameraman."
I literally thought that was Tim's burner account because you kept saying the same thing the whole time. Like, man, this is just too short. We need something taller. So I was like, did Tim get on his burner account just to leave that comment?
Yeah, it was pretty damn funny. I was at that late at night. It kind of re-energized me to get some thumbnails and stuff done because I thought that was just so funny.
Yeah, it was great. But no, it was good, man. How are you doing aside from the sleep?
Doing great. One thing about one good thing about that Friday night game is now we get to sit back and enjoy some college football, which for everyone out there is probably something that you take for granted. But when you're working during the day, you got to get there 3 hours before the game. Then you got a 3.5 hour game. Then you got the presser at the end, and then whatever you do afterwards. By the time you get a Coliseum, get home, you're looking at an 8-hour day, like a full day, 8 hours, 9 hours, and you miss out on so much of Saturday and so much of college football. So I'm really excited. I'm happy to relax in front of the TV and take in some football.
Yeah, and that's why I've always said, not to derail this conversation, that's why I've always said, like, the AP poll, like, it's just not. It's not feasible because we know those writers are not watching all the games. They're literally, if they're like us, they're at the stadium for 8 hours, focused, honed in on their single team. So I've always said it's kind of, I don't even blame all of them necessarily. You're just, you just don't have the time. But anyway, great win. Well, we did it last night, but we can just kind of jump into it until anyone wants to say anything differently. But we touched on the overarching things from last night's game. So let me ask you about Jaden Mayava. How do you think his bounce back? Because obviously, probably his worst game as a Trojan against Nebraska. He did stuff with his legs and obviously was able to take stuff over that way, but his worst passing game. And even in this one, Tim, I felt like in that first quarter, even though the offense was moving, it still kind of looked a little off. Timing was a little off, but I thought, really put it together in that second half and looked a lot better. What were your thoughts on just his bounce back, I guess, if you will?
I think it's natural. It makes a lot of sense. That's why you have all these rushing teams in the Big Ten because of inclement weather. Like, for instance, USC wasn't exactly lighting up the scoreboard. They weren't exactly filling up the stat sheet. But at Notre Dame, they had a lead going to third quarter. It starts pouring, and if you ever try to catch a ball in the rain, throwing it, if you got a big hand like Mayava does, if you probably had a lot of rain in your day, the rain's not a big deal for you. But the fact of you just having all that wet weather had to have contributed. Plus the fact that you had banged up personnel. It just had been one game really before that they had lost both of their running backs. Offensive lines getting shuffled around. I think people were taking that too lightly going into South Bend with that situation. It's got to rattle, it's got to make you really dig deep. And then as far as the game in Nebraska, it was cold. Guys like Lemon and Lane were both dropping balls. I got to assume that also had to do with some of the weather. Plus, they just, for some reason, Ryan, we talked about last night, they just play better on the road. I mean, they play better at home than they do on the road. And in this game, it seemed like Jaden felt more comfortable. I like what Gabe says about him. The fact that he is a point guard. He runs when he's rolling and this offense is rolling, he just deals. He's able to operate this offense just about as good as anyone you could see it. His arm talent. He can obviously run when he needs to run, like we've seen the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But just didn't look right. Didn't look right against Nebraska. Didn't look right against Notre Dame. So it's good to see that he's back on stride. Now, that's something you have to figure out because guess what? We don't play all of the 3 games we have remaining at home. We do that big one up in Austin. That one is more than anything. But that's what reminded me. This is a great point right here. So this is my overall thoughts. I mean, 10-2.
Yep.
The dream is still alive, and that's what it is. It's way in advance. USC's already started its its playoff because really it's you lose, you're out, you're gone. So it kind of in a way is like an artificial start to the playoffs. But do you want to grab this first call? It just came in.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, this is their show. Hey, caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's happening? It's Mitch from New Jersey.
Mitch from New Jersey. Glad to hear from you again. How you doing, Mitch?
Yeah, I know. I called you offline. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a good conversation. That was crazy. Sometimes, you guys, just so you understand what Mitch is saying, sometimes I forget to shut down the phone system. And Mitch called after the show because he was watching it on YouTube. It looked like it was live. He gave me a call, and we ended up talking about it for a little bit. But Mitch, what's in your mind tonight? Or sorry, gosh, see how it is this morning.
Well, it's afternoon for me. I know you just had your breakfast. It was a great game. And a bit of a tale two halves. Miami played pretty great. It's tough. I can't wait for this game. I'm looking forward to it. Be doing a day, at least from my end here. Lemon Maeva, great game, especially Lemon. I know it's too late for the Heisman because he was off last week. Nobody had a good game last week, even though the defense came through. I'm really going back to Notre Dame. Makai Lemon, he had a great game. I hope he can play another year, but I bet you he's going to be taken off for the NFL. Him and Jacoby Lane. And if we can beat the Ducks, then we'll be talking playoffs, but I expect no worse than the good bowl. Hoping they're jumping ahead too.
No. Your thoughts, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I think it shows, Mitch, that this offense is so much more dynamic when Lemon gets going. Obviously, I mean, that's a pretty simple statement. He's one of the best receivers in college football, but when they're able to get him involved, which they did early, like the second play of the game, they got him the ball, or the first, it might have even been the first play on that little kind of dig route. Just shows his athleticism and what he does. And I watched some of the highlights after the game at 12:30 at night, and the broadcast kept saying how good this team is with yards after the catch. And it's so true. Like, you just get the ball in their hands and they're going to make things happen, specifically Lemon. So, yeah, I mean, it's great that what he's doing. And you said it, Mitch, sorry, I'm gonna let you go, but it's definitely probably out of the Heisman combo for Lemon, but he's definitely still in that Biletnikoff conversation, I think, which is great.
And all conference and all American. Yeah. On that level.
He kind of reminds me of Aron Ross St. Brown. He's having a great year for the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Really look good. And they also get our tight ends involved, especially I like Lions. And one more thing, and I've given you a lot here already. Olsen, is he going to make an appearance? They were telling him so much coming out of high school. Not his first name. Olsen's his last name. Thanks. Have a great weekend. Thank
you too, Mitch, for the call from New Jersey. Appreciate you checking in at a more decent hour than we're dealing with this morning. I mean, I wake up every day at almost 5 o'clock to go to work, but I mean, on Saturday, you guys are late night. It's been pretty rough. It's good to hear from Mitch. And on that note, Ryan, I mean, I'm taking note. You guys have known, I write down whoever calls in. Pretty much with Mitch, I know he's called in 2 or 3 times, so I know him. But we're building the scene, guys, and all these people here on day one that are calling in, my regulars, like a Mitch. We have a number of them. LV's always calling in. Appreciate all you guys because you guys are just the grease that makes this thing go. Mm-hmm. I saw a comment here about, and Daniel is right, by the way. That was a strong pass defense. I'm talking about the fact that not only was it a strong pass defense, but USC's receivers helped them out. Jaden kind of helped them out because there were some throws that Jaden left out there. There were some catches that were dropped in that game, vital catches that were dropped in that game that would have kept this thing going. So I do hear you, and it's not to slight. That is a very good pass defense. But I do believe the weather and USC dropping balls, Ryan, contributed to the numbers that we saw.
Yeah, well, I mean, as good as this receiving core is, or at least what we've seen from the starters, like, yeah, they've had moments of, not helping their quarterback out. Now, they've had moments where they've absolutely made some amazing catches. Point in case, Jacoby Land's touchdown last night, and Makai Lemon so sure-handed, had the one drop against, was it Nebraska or Notre Dame? Now I'm blending two games together, but there has been moments where they've, not to sound harsh, but let their quarterback down a little bit. So, but it was good to see last night. Really none of that. I mean, every play that was needed to be made was made. And when you have clean games like that, that's when you win by 21. So outside of the almost pick six, which then, Jaden Maaba made the amazing play to force the fumble, there was really pretty mistake-free football overall from this team, and very minimal penalties, no big penalties. You had, some of the false start and the illegal man, which obviously was, I guess, big because it negated that touchdown, but no, big personal fouls or pass interferences or anything like that. So overall, I think just a really clean game from this USC team.
Totally agree on that. Again, guys, give us a call on the phone line, or you could also join us through StreamYard. So let's get this one out of the way, because I think Riley had a really great point. He kind of squashed it right away. I squashed it right away when we talked about it. I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday, but Josh Pate came out and said that, he did his whole hand grenade thing, that, it's imminent. They asked him, who do you like for some of these jobs, like LSU, Penn State, Florida? Like, who are you looking at? He said, hey, I'm not gonna say anything. And then he said, well, here's one for you. And then he threw Lincoln Riley's name out, like Riley was an option. I think we just kind of basically, Jamal and I just said no. His direct quote was, when asked about the what Josh Pate said, he said, you guys know what I've sacrificed to come here. I'm where I need to be. I don't know if that's, you're going to get any more plain English from a coach, from agent speak on that. He literally just shut the door right away on that, Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I got a message almost like 2 weeks ago now. So kind of about this rumor. And I was like, yeah, I'm not even going to say anything about it, because I just didn't, really see much to it. And I didn't want to stoke any rumors out there. And then like a few days later, it came out on a Florida message board, just like a 1-sentence thing. And then a week after that is when Josh Pate. So it's really weird, the timeline of like when stuff got released. And I'm like, I heard about this like 10 days ago. But yeah, I mean, my whole take was it I think what it told me, because I think that it was definitely not true, but at the same time, there was some smoke behind it. But I think where I saw it was that USC has felt very strongly now that, like, hey, if this season goes south, like, we have the resources to make a move if we need to. And to me, neither side wanted to. It was more agents and reps putting out feelers like they do in every sport when they kind of feel the seat is getting a little warm. And this was all after that Notre Dame game when that seat got warm. And so I think it was pure. That's all it was. Nothing to do with Riley, nothing to do with USC. It was more the agent saying like, hey, if something goes down, like we would be interested, kind of thing. So I don't like when stuff like that comes out, because it, in college football, you have not just the college coaches and their families, but you have all the players and the recruits. It's much different than the NFL, where guys are just under contract and you change the coach. That doesn't change a whole lot. So I don't like rumors like that. I think it's dumb, but I agree with you, Tim. He came out and just squashed it, and we can now thankfully move on and never bring it up again. Especially if this team wins out, it's all like for nothing anyway, because he's not going nowhere.
Yeah, and I've heard everything as well. Like, people say the connection to Texas Tech, they say with Joey McGuire kind of being on the ropes and stuff, et cetera, et cetera. For the reasons, I mean, I'm not going to go into them completely, but the fact that, Lincoln Riley has the #1 recruiting class lined up, as of right now, we're just talking about the dream's still alive. I mean, they are going forward with this season, and they're in a position still, to be in the playoff hunt. So, I mean, this talk is a bit premature. No one really genuinely thought this was going to be a national championship team. This was still part of the rebuild. What what this season has been so far, it has been great. You know, a lot of key positions where you see talent coming up is still young. Both these lines are coming back. The coaching staff that he has together, NIL's rolling. Chad Bowden's just got these. So I'm on. Whenever you see that guy, he's on the phone. You know, and he's making something happen. So, yeah, new construction, new facility buildings coming in for the football only building. Why on earth would he be leaving? This is USC. This isn't this is a stepping stone university. You know, it's not a stepping stone job like Oklahoma, for instance. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. If you're out there, it's just a joke.
You're not wrong considering he left from Oklahoma to come to USC. So.
You know, I do believe that had a lot to do with, I think, the way he felt that he was being treated. Like, I think I've heard it. I don't know. This is unsubstantiated, but I heard that he felt that he wasn't getting support, you know, whatever it was, whether it was financially, you know, money for his coaching staff, recruiting, facilities, whatever it is. And that I kind of see some validity to it, because what they talked about in that initial press conference, remember that about the vertical alignment and how everyone's on the same page, and you know, you feel supported, and this is a mecca where you can do all this stuff. I think that was directly talking about how the frustrations he may have been feeling by not being able to hump at Oklahoma, because everyone's talking, oh, Lincoln Riley can't win the big one, he can't go to the hump. Well, was he receiving the same amount of support that coaches in the SEC were receiving, that he's being compared to and expected to beat? Was he receiving that? So we'll move on from that, because again, it was just something was floated out there. It kind of went wild on Twitter and everything. And Riley, last night, we're sitting there and he just said flat out, I'm not going, you know, basically said, I'm not going anywhere. So we could put that one to bed.
Yeah. Well, and he's, you know, I'll just say he's a super competitive guy. Like, and everything you just said, he has everything finally that he needs. Like, he wants to bring this program back to where it should be. Like, I 100% believe that. So could he 10 years from now end up back in Texas and retire there? Like, sure, but nothing's happening right now. He is at USC all in, and, you know, hopefully this thing keeps rolling. And hey, man, if this thing finishes 10-2 and this team makes the playoff, and, you know, we could have a lot of fun.
So a lot of tidbits came out, like I talked about the stats wise. So it was a 38-17 win. USC is now they're 7-2, you guys. They've got just that 5 wins and that 1 loss. Man, that I'm sure they're kicking themselves about losing in Champaign, Illinois to the Illini. I mean, that right now is weighing heavy, because it's like we talked about a little bit earlier. There's no wiggle room. There's no room for error on this thing. USC is going to need to finish among the top 3, and they have the opportunity. They went out. They will finish. There's some tiebreakers, and they will finish 3rd in the Big Ten. And I don't think there's many scenarios where USC and the Big Ten are not going to get a 3rd team into the playoffs. So there are some crazy ones out there, but Vanderbilt, we talked about Vanderbilt gets really hot, wins out. You know, there's some things there that could be arguments, but I just think USC's brand name, if USC goes up to Autzen and beats Oregon for first time since 2011, goes on a heater, like we said, you know, after losing to Notre Dame, and then just, you know, wins the next 5 games and wins out. I mean, there's a lot of positive things that you could point to that would push USC over the edge. So USC takes care of business. Like someone said, the dream's still alive, 10-2. It still can happen. As long as they go undefeated, USC's got a great chance of going to the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a StreamYard call. Want to get to that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Marcus, what's going on, brother? Can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Thanks for checking in.
How you guys doing this morning?
Fantastic.
How you guys doing this morning? Good.
Every time we have a victory Saturday or Sunday, let's do it.
Go ahead, Marcus. You still there? Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I have a couple of questions, but also some statements and some response to as well. I know that a lot of the USC fans, you know, not myself included, but a lot of fans, they're pumping Oregon up, right? I'm not saying Oregon's a bad squad or anything like that, but Oregon beat Penn State, which we now know Penn State is not a good football team. Mm-hmm. They lose to Indiana, which we know Indiana is a great football team. So, and they beat Northwestern in the same fashion that we just beat Northwestern, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So why is everybody popping up Oregon like this boogeyman right now? Like they are, like we have no chance against them at all. It seems like Oregon too has things that they have to correct, and things that they have to get right too as well on defense. And on top of that, what I've noticed with our squad is that we have yet to play a full or a complete game from our secondary linebackers and defensive linemen all playing together as one. We've seen our offense do it, but we haven't seen our defense do it. So what I've been noticing in the last couple of weeks is that our defensive backs have been progressing. I do like Conley. He was in position all night. He just has to get his head around because he would have had a lot of interceptions, in my opinion. And then on top of that, just if we can, do you think it's possible that this is kind of coming to a apex moment where the whole defensive unit begins to play together as a whole unit and put together a complete game?
Do you want to hit that
I
first?
know
Go
it's
ahead.
a lot.
No,
No,
hey, that's some very, very great points. I will say this really quickly, then I'll just hand it over to you, Ryan. I'm trying to do some things backstage here, but I also was very impressed with Conley Braylon for most of his time out there. He had the unfortunate that pass interference for where I was sitting. I'm sorry guys. We got home like at midnight. I put some thumbnails up. I did some stuff here on the site, and then I went to sleep. I haven't done a rewatch yet of the game. But I will tell you that pass interference call, very questionable. I mean, I think that Braylon had a better chance to pick that thing off, unless if there's a hold maybe earlier, in the route, possibly.
Yes.
But it sure looked like he was fired. So
Yes.
In college football, especially in the Big Ten, Ryan, and Marcus, they're letting a lot of that hand checking go, and it didn't look like it was heavy at all on that. And I think he made a great play.
Absolutely.
He looked back and he made a pretty good play on that one. He got a bit lost on that one a little bit later down the right sideline, where he kind of lost his footing or whatever. But it was not like there were no like mental there was nobody just out to lunch, at all. Either with him or with Celis Williams. They both played pretty well.
Right.
And I don't really know yet, you guys. And Ryan, I'll hear your thoughts. I haven't watched it back yet, but I don't know, that was Celis dinged up, or was it just, hey, look, let's make a change? Is it working? Because in the first half, they were giving up. What was annoying to me was they were exploiting is they were bouncing the ball outside on the perimeter, and they were able to swing passes and things. They were able to actually get some yards. I don't know if that was on DeCarlos or if that was on Celis, but I was happy with the overall play. And you're right, but they didn't put it together, because anytime you give up over 5 yards a carry, which they did, and especially early on in the first half, they did clean that up right in the second half. But the linebackers looked like they were playing really well and downhill again. So that part's kind of been fixed, I think. I think that there's some issues I saw on the defensive line a couple of times that I think still is being corrected. But yeah, Ryan, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, but especially on the cornerback play. And we haven't seen Braylon Conley in a while, and I think he came out and played, knocked the dust off and played pretty well.
Yeah. Celis did get dinged up. He was in the medical tent at some point, came back out, looked like he was like available, but I'm sure it was more precautionary. And, they obviously feel good about Conley. They played him a lot early. So I think once he got in there, they felt like he was playing good enough to just keep, Marcellus out more for precautionary reasons. And yeah, I loved what I saw from Conley. Like even on that one where he got lost down the right sideline on that big 36-yard or whatever, made the tackle from the ground, and then the defense held for a field goal. So that was huge to make that tackle instead of, basically just letting him walk in for the touchdown, and ended up, saving 4 points there. So yeah, I thought I think DeCarlos Nicholson, I mean, he's a guy that's rightfully or wrongfully received a lot of criticism. And I think he's gotten better and better each week also. I mean, he still doesn't make every play, but he is extremely sticky. I mean, you can at least say he is on his man every time. And sometimes the receivers just beat him and make the catch, but he is always right there. And this is a former quarterback that just recently transitioned to cornerback, had to learn how to backpedal, never even backpedaled before, and running with receivers and routes. So I think he's gotten better and better. And so that's fun to see from the cornerback. So, we've said a few times, not necessarily this recently, but we said a few times, like, I think it was just more the development wasn't happening as quickly as we all like to see, but we're seeing this defense get better. Now we need to see it, as you were saying, Marcus, for all 4 quarters. Like, you can't just, lay an egg in the first quarter, get a little better in the second, and then clamp it down in the second half. You got to do it for all 4 quarters, and that's the next step for this defense to be a solid unit. But we're getting there. To your first question about Oregon, I agree with you. I haven't seen anything that tells me this team is certainly not the best team in the Big Ten, let alone a better team than USC. I think the fear factor is, and it's what Tim said, like, this USC team hasn't won in Eugene since 2011. If this game was at the Collie, I think USC would probably be an 8-point favorite in this game. Maybe not 8 point, but it'd be a 4-point favorite probably if this was at the Collie. But it's those road woes that we have, even though they've now won 2 on the road this year. It's those road woes that we haven't totally gotten over yet, and the fact that it's been over a decade since winning in Eugene. So if USC can go prove that, I think they certainly have the horses, they have the coaching, they have the momentum. But I think until they do that, that's where everyone's kind of fears, I guess, come from.
Yeah, the fact that it's on the road and the fact that they just, for whatever reason, have the talent. They've been stacking that talent. They're trying to play. They also have the skill players as well. So I mean, there are reasons to be concerned, but I think Ryan hit it. People are talking about. Well, I'll show you guys this. USC was winning in the third quarter against Notre Dame. It's not like Notre Dame steamrolled them. They ended up winning by 10 points, and a big part of that was just they were running the ball effectively. We couldn't stop the run. We were throwing the ball.
It was holding. A lot of holding calls that weren't called. Yeah.
Welcome. I guess welcome to the ACC as well. But I mean, the Big Ten, that's what we've been running into with these teams. It's just they're letting them hold, which again affects a team like USC who has more athletic and well, except for Notre Dame, I should take that back. But in the Big Ten, a lot of time USC has the more athletic players, and so if you're letting guys hold and gum up that stuff, it helps out the teams with the less athletic teams, as what I was saying. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was saying,
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, just short story is it's Oregon, and Lanning has shown. Everyone loves Dan Lanning. I'm not. I mean, you can't argue with the wins, but is the development there, because they get a lot of star guys and then they end up losing. I remember early on they kept losing over and over again to DeBoer and Washington, and it just seems like traditionally, that team up there, they just find a way with the may have the most talent on the field, but they just find some way sometimes to lose. Sound familiar, Trojan fans? So nothing's a given. Nothing's a given. There's people I hear say there's no way that USC is going to win. That's why they play the game.
Right.
The fact it's on the road, like you said, Ryan, worries me. But I mean, shoot, if we play that Notre Dame game at a neutral site, I think the outcome could definitely have been different. So,
right,
and I mean,
and then so I'm looking at, because Oregon plays Iowa today.
Yeah,
and Iowa's a very physical team. The weather conditions in there are not ideal for Oregon's offense. So if Oregon can't run the ball effectively against Iowa's physical front, and who's to say that they come out there not more than dinged up, but I mean, playing in weather conditions like that, there's a lot of players who get hurt, and I'm not wishing up on anybody, but it's just the nature of the game. And I'm looking at it as, with us and our offense, how our offense is still humming, even though we're going through all these changes on the offensive line. Like yesterday, the general went down, and then we had to bring back the starting center. So it's like, which that's a testament to Hansen, how he's coached those boys up. But we're still able to run the ball effectively. I like how our wide receivers showed up. And if we can get that, here on out. But to me, the dark horse for our offense is going to be Jack. Because if he can gain at least 50 yards in a game to help out King, then I think our offense is going to be even more dominant. Because when we were dominating early in the season, we had Eli Sanders, and Wayman Jordan, where you didn't lose any production. So that's just my opinion, with everything. So, but I'm ready for Iowa, us to play Iowa. And I know somebody said in the comment section that, we may lose because it's going to rain that day, which is not going to rain that day. But it's like everybody, I'm not sure if he's a homer or if he's just in here making a comment or whatever. But, that's just, some of my thoughts with everything.
There are some AM showers. And listen, you guys, remember, this is California. How many times, you guys, they told us it's going to rain, and either it doesn't rain or you get like it rains somewhere up in the valley and that's it. You know what I mean? That happens. It's like, it's kind of like if you live in my parents are from Michigan, and it's like the weather comes over Lake Michigan and it can come on fast or it, there's just no way to guess it. Imagine the Pacific Ocean, folks. They do the best they can, but I've just heard so many times that we're gonna have rain. There's gonna be a problem, and I'm looking right now. It says it's an AM showers, but then it should be all right. And then there's probably maybe they said also there could be some in the evening a little bit of rain, but it does look like it should be dry-ish as long as it doesn't downpour like it did in South Bend. The first whole half. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I got to jump. So you'll take us home, though, yeah?
Yeah, I'll talk for a little while here. As long as we're getting phone calls, I will hang out. This is a call-in show, and if we don't get calls, then I'll got to wrap up.
All right, I appreciate it. I got to jump. Marcus, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you. Tim, appreciate you always. I'll catch up with you a little bit. Thanks, Trojan family.
Thank you, guys.
I got to go take care of something real quick. So, but appreciate you all. Thanks, Tim.
All right. Yeah, I guess I'm going to be taking it home for a little while here. But yeah, no rain, and I would worry about it. I mean, I talked about it earlier in the week about Kinnick and playing Iowa at home. Iowa's a different team at home. They haven't historically traveled well to the West Coast. I think USC plays its game, and it's relatively dry. I think USC gets that win, even though they are a very solid defense.
Yeah, I know, but see, with the Notre Dame game, it was raining and it was cold. So the temperature's up there compared to the temperature, even though it can be a light sprinkle out this way, which normally it is. It don't really rain like that until, December sometime. But later on, but a light sprinkle, but our weather, just the temperature of the weather, is different than what they had up in Notre Dame. So.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Mitch.
No. So I'm thinking Iowa coming here. Yes, it's going to be a physical game, but that's why I was asking you guys, do you guys think that we're on a projection, if it's possible, of in all three levels of defense that they can put it together for, from next game, the following game, and our last game, where we become that really dominant defense at every level on defense.
Yeah, again, we haven't seen SC put together for 4 quarters. I think they're a very scary team if they can do. That's one issue with a young-ish team. Now, all the guys aren't freshmen and redshirt freshmen, but a lot of them came in this year not having a whole lot of experience. I think this is a very dangerous team if they could put together 4 quarters. There's make no mistake about it. Most teams are, but a team this talented, if USC puts together 4 quarters on both sides of the ball, I think there's very few teams. If there's a couple I can think of off the top of my head that I think USC might still struggle with, but none that are on the rest of our schedule. That's for sure. So
right.
USC puts together 4 quarters. We're talking about playing with anybody, anywhere, the old USC motto, right? I think that with the talent usually USC has, like we have on this team, I think that if they put together 4 quarters, good luck. Good luck to anybody out there beating this team. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
And then so just lastly, what I was sharing with USCJ yesterday, I believe that we're going to the playoffs. That's my opinion, because I believe that we can beat Oregon. We will beat UCLA. We'll beat Iowa. But in the playoffs, could you imagine us having King Miller and Waymon Jordan in the backfield together? Because by then he would be able to play. So can you imagine those two being in the backfield together with against any defense?
Or maybe all three, a three-headed monster. Keep everyone fresh. But because Eli Sanders was playing really well himself, Ryan Jackson I haven't seen. I saw some flashes of it. I wonder how healthy he is. I wonder how ready he is.
Yeah,
we're gonna see. They're gonna bring in Dalton and Wormley. We're gonna get to see more and more of them going forward next couple of games. But we do need someone to take the load off. Yeah, because a couple of things, you guys. King's doing well, carried the ball well, but he's only getting 15 to 18 carries. We haven't seen what he does. I know it's not the John McKay and John Robinson era where you're going to get like 30 plus carries, but we do need someone to step up and get that level of production, because you guys, I really hope we get to see Waymon Jordan again in Cardinal and Gold. I mean, shoot, he's special. Again, we could have used him in Notre Dame. There were a couple plays where I don't think anyone else on the roster picks up the first down. His lateral quickness and stuff, and his moves, and his shape, and his balance, and everything that he has going. That's elite, you guys. That's really elite. With my fears with running backs, I mean, you have a short shelf life. It's almost like you're getting those, like a camera. They look at how many times the shutters have hit. Same thing with running back. How many snaps have you had in college? How many snaps did you have at your previous stops? 3 years in the NFL. What kind of wear and tears on your body? So he has to make the right decision for himself and his family. So obviously, I'd hold nothing against him. He's got to go, and that's why he's here. He's here to go to the NFL. But I really hope we can get him for one more year, because I think he's a super special back. And that's not to diminish anybody else on the roster. I'm just saying he has proven to me on the field that I've watched that he has a skill set that I haven't seen anybody else on this roster do. That includes King Miller. King's a different type of back, and just love what King. There's no doubt about that. But
and
part of football.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if we can get 50 yards a game from Brian Jackson, to help King Miller, I think that would make the offensive production much more lethal. If he's not healthy, I mean, if he keeps shooting, by Iowa and then kind of comes to the head, at Oregon, then I don't think anybody will be able to stop our offense at all, because we're losing no production. I think that's why Notre Dame is so good, because if you take Love out, you have backup running back. And he's good. So that's what I'm saying. If B-Jack can get us like at least 50 yards a game from here on out, and maybe a little bit more, but if he can get us at least 50 yards a game to help with King Miller, I think our offense would be even more dominant.
Yeah, I agree. You kind of saw it with Michigan when they lost Justice Haynes. I know that Marshall came in, but they took a big step back. So we have to keep him healthy down the stretch here. There's 3 more games, and he's absorbing those hits, but he's not getting a lot of carries. And Brian Jackson has come in, and it's not like Brian Jackson hasn't played well. We were just talking about that dream scenario with the way that Waymon was playing, the way that Eli was playing. That was a different world where really, truly, there was no drop off at all in production. Right. I'm not saying Brian Jackson doesn't have the ability to play at a high level. It's just this year we just haven't seen him play at the level of the 3 names we've named before. That's really
right. Yeah,
right,
and that's my thing. Okay, but thank you so much for taking me and stuff like that. And you guys have a great rest of the day.
Absolutely, Marcus. Hey, appreciate you calling in. And again, I'm going to remember you. I hope you call back soon. Great call.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
Okay.
Right on. Well, we got a very special guest lined up right now for us. So You guys out there, we're bringing on the coach. Let me get you in here. Do you have the keys to the? I don't know if you can get in here or not. Hey, what's up, Coach?
What's up, Tim? How's it going?
It's going. Ryan talks me into like getting up and doing a 9 a.m. show. Whereas I tell you what, I really would have been sleeping right now. It looks like most of our audience is sleeping right now. We got some people here on the line, but love to hear your thoughts. It's been a while. You know, the other part, the LAFB.
You should have hit me up. My season's over. I got a lot of free time now.
That's perfect. Well, listen, you're here, a member of this place. You just show up. You got the keys to the castle. Just show up here, throw it on, and start doing a show. Because I'm down to join you anytime.
Yeah.
I saw your comment. I was going to get to it. I saw your comment in the chat regarding the defense. Why don't you go ahead and share with us, because you obviously know a thing or two about defense playing at USC. So what are your thoughts?
It's not a championship defense. You know what I mean?
Coach, did we think this was a championship defense? I mean, going in, I don't think anyone lauded it that way.
We keep talking about playoffs. Well, let me put it in this situation. It's not even a playoff defense, right? Northwestern last night was the number 88th offense coming in to playing USC. The week before, Nebraska was like 73. You know what I mean? Like, we give up a lot, and the defense has just plateaued. It's like it got a little bit better when we made the change with defensive coordinator, but now it's just plateaued. Like, it's not good enough. Like, and everybody's gonna ask what's wrong. Like, next week they're gonna play Iowa. Well, Iowa's gonna run the ball a lot. Then they got to go play Oregon. It's very explosive. Like, it hasn't gotten better, Tim. Like, it hasn't gotten better from Grinch. I think we got a little bit excited because of the slight improvement, but it's not that much better than from Grinch. I'm just being honest with you. And everybody's going to go run the numbers, and you can go look at the stats. And we went from 110 to 50. The teams that are in the playoffs are in the top 15 defense.
No, if you look at them, the guys up at the very top, like, if anyone's been following, you got outside the tunnel vision of looking at USC football and kind of open up and watch the rest, what Ohio State is doing defensively is up there with that 2008 USC team. I'm not saying that they are the players, I'm saying statistically,
yes,
what they are doing is up there with the disgusting numbers that 2008 USC team, by the way, which the BCS left out, but that's a whole different conversation. that in 2003, I know I bring it up all the time on the show, but I'm going to keep talking about the fact that both those teams, which were the two best teams in the country, were left out of this BCS BS, should we say? But yeah, I don't think anyone thought. I mean, I hear you. I know you're not saying it either. But with 12 teams making the playoffs, you know, with USC coming into the Big Ten, with the talent that they have, with the coaching staff that they have, I have been. I'm not gonna lie. I have been expecting more, but I did not expect them to play at the same level as the teams at the top. You know, at the top of of college football right now. I don't think they have the experience and depth, because you can speak to this if you could. I talk about all the time. You could have the kids that come in from high school and they've got college bodies. Heck, some of them have NFL bodies, but they don't have that NFL, you know, that strength that you need. That, you know, the guy's a 5th-year senior who's been in that weight room, has been in the nutrition at a university for 4 or 5 years. They're not going to be able to match up with that. And we've seen it a couple of times on the physical beats we see along the line.
Yeah, and you're right. Like you're talking about an 18-year-old going up against a 22-year-old who's been in a weight program for 4 years. You know what I mean? Like a legit weight program, fed well. Like, you know, and like we're getting excited about this 26 class. That's 2 years away. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be negative. The win was good, but like, you know, everybody, we're not going to the playoff. We got to start being realistic of what our goals are. We're not going to the playoff. We're not a playoff team, right? We're riding on this thing of we're just going to ride the offense out. Like, we beat Illinois if we had a decent defense. We don't lose in the last second. Right now, we're legit talking about being a playoff team, and I'm finally sitting down and looking at everything and looking at numbers and looking how the games went down. It's the defense. The defense has not gotten better, and Lincoln Riley is still on that thing. We'll just score more than you. It doesn't work like that in the Big Ten. People are keeping the ball for longer periods of time. Like, you really can't score fast. Like you can't ride on our offense is going to score a lot of points. It'll work in 2 weeks when you play Oregon because it's kind of the same, but it's legit the defense.
Well, I mean, no,
But
Oregon.
Mayava played his ass off yesterday, and Lane and Lemon. They played their ass off yesterday. Let me be positive with that one. They played their ass off. So let's not leave that one out. What are you about to say?
No, yeah, we'll come back to them. But I just want to talk about the defenses. I mean, I did cheat, but I did know that Oregon has, as far as yards per play is concerned, they're up there, top 5. Actually, they're top 3. So you got Ohio State and Iowa and Oregon all giving up less than 4 yards per play, not per carry, per play. And I just you're looking at the best teams that are at the top. I'm looking at all of them. Teams that are winning, they are winning with defense and stifling defenses. So USC, you've got a good point. USC has to figure that out. And we were talking about, I don't know if you caught the caller before. We said, I'm waiting for this team. I think they can do it, Coach. I think they can be a playoff. I'm not saying that they're competing for a national championship. I do believe that what they have in place right now, they should be competing to be in the top 12 in the country. Now, I know it's not technically top 12. It's more like the top 11 because they throw in a group of 5 team in there.
Right.
So that kind of gums that last spot up. So you're looking at 11. And then, I mean, really, the ACC is as, look good. Like Virginia's looked good and Miami has looked good, but none of them are setting the world on fire in the ACC as well. And they're talking about the SEC getting 5 in, et cetera, like they do every year. Because guess what? Who's running this thing? ESPN. So you're going to see a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, let's get off the defense. I'll just leave it on this. I don't think anyone expected this to be a playoff defense, but at the same time, a championship defense. I do think that they have the pieces that should be I think it should be a top 12 playoff team. With the offense that they have, I mean, I think USC's offense might be the best in the country. And so when you have a prolific offense like that, you don't need to have a top 20 defense. We've been saying for a while, give me a top 30, 35 defense with that offense, and you're going to win a lot of games. For instance, one of the stats they threw out, if I can find it really quickly, when Lincoln Riley holds a team under 20 points, so 20 points or less, Lincoln Riley. You want to guess his record? It's undefeated. He's 41-0 when his defense gives up 20 or less. So at least we know it's happened 41 times.
Yeah.
So there we go.
I would like to know who those opponents are, but no, you're right. I mean, so are we setting the standard now for USC football to be a playoff team? Just a playoff team, a one-and-done team?
USC should be a playoff team now. Without a doubt, USC competes for championships. That is the standard that's been set here by Howard, going all the way back to Howard Jones. We win national championships under Jones, McKay, Robinson, and Carroll. I mean, we win national championships. But I think it'd be a tall ask from what we saw 2 years ago to this year to think we were going to compete for a national championship. Especially with the level, you guys, there's some, once you get to the top of college football, there are some really well-oiled machines. And USC's not there yet.
No, I agree. So, yeah. But last night, though, that offense is clicking. And even last week, they made plays when they needed to make plays. You know what I mean? Like, the game is on the line. They made plays when they needed to make plays. Lemon, Mayava, and Jacoby Lane, even King Miller. Last night, I'm happy it was just a stinger. Even with King Miller, like they got not. You know what though? Do you know who the unsung heroes of the offense is? Lake McCree.
Yeah, tight ends.
Those dudes are a big factor in the offense. And they always make a play when you need them to make a play. So the offense is loaded. The offense is going to do what it's going to do. I don't know, man. And Tim, I'm looking at the game from a whole different perspective. Everybody's like, yay, 35-17, good job. But I'm like, this is all right.
Would you say this? I agree with you. Look at the teams that they are chalking these wins up. But would you say they're beating these teams? Like, for instance, Nebraska and we just had with Northwestern. Which Northwestern, this wasn't a pushover team. I mean, they're not going to be challenging for the Big Ten anytime soon. But Braun's got them playing above expectations of what people thought they would do. But the teams like Purdue, for instance, it started out early in the season. It looked like USC wasn't putting away teams, even back going to the non-conference games early on in the season, the way they should. I think the last couple of games, though, USC is handling his teams and doing what you expect them to do, especially like, for instance, if Rayla gets knocked out of a game, even though you're in a blackout, crazy situation, very, very cold weather. USC handled that second half, only giving up 3 points in the second half of that game and 3 points in this game. And USC has done it a couple of times against lesser competition as well. So it looks like they're not playing down to the competition this year. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe to me, it's not. It looks good, but it's not convincing. I guess that's what that's the question you have. Does it look good, or is it actually convincing? Can you walk out the game like, yeah, that's a dominant team? You know what I mean? Or, oh yeah, that's a good win. We came together in the second half and we scored points. We did really good in the second half. Or do you walk out like, oh boy, that SC team, we're getting back to where we need to be? That's the question. And to me, it's not convincing.
Fair. Fair. USC just could not get off the field. They're allowing them, after going on a really long drive themselves, they allowed Northwestern to move the ball on them pretty well. Again, if you guys check out, I'm not going to go into right now, but check out the instant analysis we did last night at the Coliseum. But there were some issues early on that I think they cleaned up a bit. Again, the play at cornerback has improved. Yeah. Like we are not seeing it. One thing we're not seeing anymore on this team, knock on wood, we're not seeing them blown coverages anymore, which is obviously great to see. We were seeing DeCarlos Nicholson really step up. By the way, if you haven't, make sure you check the after game presser with him and his son. Is just absolutely adorable. So on a dad note, if those dads out there, it was great to see DeCarlos Nicholson bring his son into the press conference. But DeCarlos is playing great. I really like his playing. We saw Kamari Ramsey kind of eat a little bit. He's been kind of the forgotten man in all this defense. Going into this thing, don't get me wrong. You could speak to this as well. Just because you're not showing up in the stat sheet every week, just because you're not making flashy plays, doesn't mean you're not doing your job. And correct. I think part of the reason is we're not saying his name, so he's solid. He's at force there that's consistent. But I like the way that Kamari was kind of flashing and going around this game. Do you feel the same way? Again, I still haven't seen the TV copy.
I do, and he shows why he's the captain of the defense, because he can play linebacker, he can play safety, he'll go play nickel corner. Like he does a lot of stuff. There's a reason hopefully his replacement next year is just as good, and they're teaching him teaching him up. The question I have is, who's number 25? Number 25 is the dude, the corner.
Oh yeah, that's on defense. That's my guy. That's my St. John Bosco. That's Celis Williams.
He's the dude. He's the guy. Whatever year he is, I hope we get him for like 2 more years so he could develop and become. He played his ass off last night too. Yeah. He's a dude. So yeah, you're right. But Ramsey's the true captain. He's one of those guys like, we need your linebacker today. All right, coach, I'll do it, and he'll get it done, and you don't notice anything missing. So yeah, we got to keep him healthy. He can't miss any games.
It's Celis's this is Celis's second year. He's a redshirt freshman.
Perfect.
So we won't have him for that long, coach. But the one thing I can tell you is, yeah. And we saw, I think Ryan brought this up. I think the tackling, you had we could always count on Celis out there to make tackles. DeCarlos plays just shoulders guys. He mixes it up. I like him. And then we saw some Braylon Conley too. Braylon's not the biggest guy, but shoot, he had a tackle for a loss. He was tackling very well. So we're tackling well in the perimeter. It just seemed like in the first half, we just couldn't get off. They just couldn't get a stop. And that was the difference between the first half and the second half is, I'd love to, I haven't looked yet the splits on it, but the third down conversions first half compared to the second half. Once they slowed that down, once they made those adjustments, USC just rolled.
What looks better, 35-7 or 35-17?
What looks better?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm no mathematician, but you know, I mean,
That's what I'm saying. We got to start winning these 35-17. You know what I mean? Like that's it. At this point, it doesn't need to convince us. Like us as Trojan fans, we're like, all right, cool. We're starting to become a better team. Like we look better than we did 3 years ago. We look better than we did before Riley got here. Like we look better, but we're past that now. We have to get to a point to where we start convincing the media. We got to start convincing the selection committee. We got to start convincing people like, oh, SC is really back. Because right now we just look like a competitive team. You know what I mean? Like we're a below.
Well, wait, coach, hold on. Wait. You say that we're not like this level?
We can just say it because USC sucks.
I mean, like
No. I'm saying like top 10. Like there's no
okay.
Like
I'm gonna say we weren't competitive. I'm like,
no.
I mean, I can go back a couple of years and say that, but I don't think I can say that this year. I get you.
No,
at the highest level.
Yeah, we are a competitive team. We look like a number 20 team. We need to start getting out of that. We need to get out of that comfort level, and we need to become a team that where people start talking about, right? Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Even what we've seen recently in the last like I don't know 4 games or so. Let's say going back to the Michigan game. I look at that, and again, I do weigh everything into what USC's done. I mean, playing your rival. You guys remember one thing about Notre Dame? People are flexing about Notre Dame and stuff. It's a lot of Notre Dame fans. They had that 100-yard kick return in that game. They didn't play the greatest game themselves. That game was out there to win. USC was winning midway through the third quarter. Rain comes, they kind of fall apart. So I mean, USC hasn't, and that's the only game that USC lost by more than 1 score. Matter of fact, if you go back the last 2 years, the only team that has beaten USC by more than 1 score, and in chat, correct me if I'm wrong, coach, if I'm wrong, is Notre Dame.
No, UCLA got us good that 1 year.
But I said the last 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Last 2 years. Since we've kind of changed our defense, let's put it that way. That no team since Lynn has been here has beaten USC by more than 1 score, except for Notre Dame. And in that Notre Dame game, they had to do so. It really wasn't the defense; it was 2 pick sixes that got them the double-digit score lead. So when you look at the games that USC has not had an opportunity to win at the very end of the game, it didn't have to do with the defense. As spotty as the defense has been, the defense has kept this offense in the game enough to where they could have won the game, and vice versa. This offense has put USC a chance to win where the defense gets a stop. I'm talking about that Illinois game. We're going to keep looking back at it. If USC does not make the playoffs, we're going to look back at that Illinois game. Look how smart we were in the offseason saying that Illinois game is pivotal, because if we end up dropping 1 to Oregon, there's still a pretty good chance that USC is getting into the playoffs, even with those 2 losses. If they were to Notre Dame and a close game, a loss up in Eugene, USC would probably be in the playoffs. So you guys, this is a call-in show. I don't know how much longer I have Coach Rowe for. We have a phone number here, 888-997-4539. We thought it'd be fun. We thought you guys would want to talk about this game. So we popped on. Ryan coerced me into, no, he didn't, but getting on here at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure if people are still getting their coffee.
Where's Ryan? Apple picking?
Ryan had way. I could say there's one of the few reasons I could say it had way better plans than spending time with the Trojan family. He's spending time with his own family, his beautiful little daughter. So that's what he's doing, and I would want it no other way. So give us a call. Go ahead and I'll drop the StreamYard link again. Their phone number's up top there as well if you guys want to come on in. But I'll be on for a little bit longer, or probably as long as Coach is here and ready to go. But there's some college football.
I'm like I said, I'm here. Free Saturday. I don't have to watch film today with the kids and lift.
Well, I'll tell you, this is the one time. This is like, except for bye weeks and this week, that I get to watch college football, you guys, and it's tempting. I think Coach is watching football because I can see him look at the screen right now.
I'm actually watching. I'm watching BYU and Texas Tech.
Yeah, so I want to golden rule of YouTube. Shh, don't talk about the games we're currently on because we don't want to lose audience.
Yeah, no, okay.
But that game. So, for instance, I was talking about early week. What are your thoughts on this? BYU, Texas Tech, BYU, obviously being undefeated, and Texas Tech with that 1 loss. They both, are I think they're in a driver's seat. The winner of this game is in a driver's seat, and most likely probably going to possibly even face each other again if Texas Tech knocks off BYU in that Big 12 championship game. That's one of the scenarios we saw, along with like maybe a red hot, and I mean red hot. They'd have to be dominant Vanderbilt, because they've been the darling of the SEC this year. I still think USC's brand name. I still think that USC and the way they play and how they play are going to trump those kind of situations. But even if USC wins out, let's say it's a sloppy game up in Oregon, and let's say I don't know, something crazy happens. They're not a lock. I would put them in as like a prohibitive favorite if they go 10-2. The humor me, coach, because I know you can say.
Well, I'm gonna have to ask you an important question here. Can USC beat Ohio State?
Can they?
Yes.
Anybody can beat anyone.
Anybody can beat anyone.
But
okay.
Should they? No. I mean, I made fun of Pat. I made fun of Matt Patricia. I didn't make fun of him. I said I didn't give him the vote of confidence, and I'm looking pretty silly on that one. But I wasn't the only one, so I'm not gonna have people like chastise me too hard. But I thought they'd take a step back with their defense, losing the guys they lost, and bring in a new defense and a new defensive coordinator.
As you should. It takes about a year to learn the scheme, and they picked it up pretty good.
Oh, pretty fast, yeah. I mean, I think how many games they go without giving up a touchdown.
Last week in the second quarter was like the first time or something like that.
Yeah, just a stifling. Now outside of Texas, whose offense you guys has been, especially early in the season with Arch Manning, was kind of AWOL. So outside of that team, what is Ohio State's biggest win? Because they don't play Indiana this year. What's their second big? They played Illinois and they handled Illinois pretty well. But I mean, what are their signature wins? I mean, I might be missing one. Let me know in the chat.
Well, the reason why I asked is Ohio State. Just right now, if we look, Ohio State is probably playing in the Big Ten championship, right? No argument there. So then, do you think anybody could beat anyone? Okay, we could roll with that. So ball bounces our way, stars in line, everything works out, perfect game. Not even perfect game. They just play a good game, and SC beats Ohio State. They get in, right, because they're the Big Ten champion. I
think USC is the only team. I think Indiana's up there as well. There's a handful of teams that score 20 points on Ohio State.
Okay,
and USC is one of them.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even disagree with you there. Okay, cool. But let's just say SC does not win the Big Ten championship. Does SC still get in with 3 losses? 3 losses, no. Okay.
No way.
So they have to
because by saying that, either USC loses to an Iowa team, which is good defense.
No. Their third loss will be the Big Ten championship to Ohio State.
Oh no! If SC gets into the if they're the runner up in the Big Ten, I think they're in.
Okay.
I think they're in. Yeah, they'd have to be. As long as they're not smoked. This isn't the BCS anymore. This isn't like where you let an Oklahoma that gets was it Oklahoma who got hammered that one year and then SC did. I think it was I can't remember. Again, chat, help me out if you remember. But if you got embarrassed in the game, then that's different. But if USC went up against Ohio State and they lost by, let's say, 10 points or less, right? 10, 11, 12 points. As long as you're not getting multi-touchdowns, I think that they're almost locked to get in. If they lost by multiple touchdowns, then they probably would grab that third place team maybe that would leapfrog USC. I think. I don't even know. But I think if USC makes it to the Big Ten championship game and they're the Big Ten runner-up, I can't imagine a world if we're going to laud the Big Ten as the second best or the best conference in the country, that the second best team's not going to be in the field of 12.
The next 3 weeks are going to be very important then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're circling it. Now we're circling. You don't want to look ahead to, you want to look past Iowa. You don't want to forget about UCLA, who's been is still kind of came back down to earth, right? After that initial boost. Like they didn't get the full Ogeron, right? Where you get a new coach and then all of a sudden you come out with your hair on fire. But even that season, you guys, if you remember, Coach O, as much as we love him, did the whole Coach O thing in the student section. It was, he did still lose to Notre Dame and to UCLA. He lost to both of the rivals, but God, I love Coach O. Coach, oh jeez.
Yeah. Well, and then also people, this is what people don't understand. Like, They came out running a new offense. So those 2 weeks, like they just showed up like, oh, here's a new offense. Look what we could do, right? And nobody had it on film. They had to figure out how to stop it. So they got those 2 wins. Now, like you said, like now things are coming. It's on film now. I got 2 games. I got 100 plays. I could stop it. That's what a lot of people don't understand about the film. Like I got 100 plays, and I'm gonna watch I can filter out the plays that you struggle with. Oh, that's how you stop it. Cool. Now we're gonna stop it.
They haven't shown the offense has shown this is a championship offense. Like I said, for the reason I said, I think that USC could put up 20+ points against Ohio State. I don't think there's many teams.
I was
that can
talking
do
about
that.
UCLA there. We kind of ventured off of UCLA. We went on a tangent with UCLA. That's why they won.
Oh, well, I mean, I'll forgive me, UCLA fans, but I think we kind of, I'm not saying USC is Indiana. I'm not. But we saw what Indiana's offense did. And statistically, USC is right there with Indiana statistically.
USC is the number 2 offense in the nation.
And number 1 is?
I looked last night. I don't remember. I have to look again.
Yeah, well, a lot of metrics is USC's right there with Indiana in the Big Ten as the best. And if you look at Ohio State, actually, they have Jeremiah Smith. Anytime you have that, you're Julian Saints playing well. So I mean, anytime you have that situation, you're going to be a very good offense. But USC has an elite offense up there with anybody in the country. What I'm saying is USC, if they play 4 quarters, if they get out to a good start and wait for that second half adjustment that we've seen the last couple of weeks, if USC starts at the game and really jumps on a team, I think USC is incredibly dangerous. USC on both sides of the ball puts together 4 quarters. They can beat any team in the country. They can.
I agree.
I agree.
Even if USC just gives up 3 to 10 and a half, you know what I mean? A touchdown in the second quarter, field goal in the first quarter. They go in 14-10 at half. If it's 14-10 at half, you have no shot of coming back.
In Oregon? At Oregon? I mean,
at Oregon too. This is what you have to remember too. I share blood relations with the Duck, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know the name. Yep.
And he kind of feels like this is the year for us. He's not happy with that Oregon team.
Okay. Well, I mean, someone in the chat, where was it? If I could find, I don't know if I put it up or not, but they were saying that Indiana is the only team with a winning record that the Ducks have played. Now that doesn't mean anything. They've been handling, like I've been talking about with USC. You beat the teams. You play the teams around your schedule. If you beat a team that's a mediocre or a subpar team and you beat the crap out of them, that's what you're supposed to do. And that's what Oregon has been doing. But I've said it for a while. Oregon always has that one just big moment. You know, they have their moment in a lot of these big games. And if USC can do what they did not do against the Irish, which is take advantage of some mistakes and some sloppy play, then I think they can win this game. They can play with anybody.
Here's the thing. Here's a perfect counter for anybody who complains about somebody else's schedule. Oregon didn't make their schedule. They only made their preseason schedule. The Big Ten made Oregon's schedule. The Big Ten made our schedule. The Big Ten makes everybody in the Big Ten schedule. So if you say they haven't played anybody in conference, that's not Oregon's fault. They don't make the schedule. We don't make the schedule for Big Ten play. Nobody does. That's a Big Ten thing. So Oregon just got the luck of the draw. Next year, we kind of get the luck of the draw, right? So you can't control that. You can only control what you can control.
Well, I mean, so for instance, their tough game was supposed to be Penn State, in Happy Valley.
Yeah, we can't control that. We didn't know that was going to happen.
No. I understand whether they can control it or not. I don't think the point is if it was their fault for not scheduling better. But I mean, when you're out of conference schedule is Montana State, Oklahoma State, which is a dumpster fire. It's not the same. I'm 40 years. I mean, it's different.
Well, they do that every year. Look at their schedule next year. They're not playing.
And Oregon and coach and Oregon State. Those are the 3 non-con games. You're right. They could have scheduled that. Like USC plays. Yeah. USC plays Notre Dame every year. Well, hypothetically hopefully. Now, but hopefully. But like you have Ohio State playing at Texas, and historically USC like last year playing an LSU, or traveling cross country to Auburn, or traveling to Virginia Tech, going down the list of teams, going out to Texas themselves, and picking up these tough teams playing in Arkansas. So USC has historically, Ohio State, right, especially in those Pete Carroll years, gone out and played a lot of really tough teams, and USC does that, and they haven't. And again, they're beating Oklahoma State 69-3. They're beating the Ducks the Beavers 41-7. They're similar game, 34-14, almost the same spread that USC. They won by 20. SC won by 21. They only lost. Their only loss is a 10-point loss to Indiana, which there's no such thing as a good loss. And Indiana did clearly from the beginning to the end look like the better team in that game. But when they play teams like Rutgers and Wisconsin, they're smoking. Well, actually, not Wisconsin. They beat Wisconsin by 14 points, and that was at home. So I agree. I don't think this is a world beater Oregon team. But at the same time, they can be dangerous.
Yeah, they can. And like I said, if it's 14-10 USC at halftime, we win that game in Austin, no problem. And
Can you say that again? Can you say that again, Coach?
If it's 14-10 USC in Austin, 14-10 at half, right? That's a complete game. We run away with that game. Then we have a convincing win. That'll be a convincing. I mean at half, because when we come out from half, I'm interested to see how many points we score after halftime. There's a big difference. I wish I could find that, but what I'm saying is, if the defense could hold Oregon to 10 points, then we run away with that game. Like, it's a convincing win. Like, I'm talking 30, 40 points to probably like 13, 17 points. Like,
wow,
blowout win. Yeah.
Well, I'm not ready to make that. That's a pretty bold statement. I like it. I will tell you this. And I think I said this a couple of shows ago and a couple times. USC gets off to one of these slow starts that we've seen this year and kind of last year in Austin. They go down multiple scores early. I don't know if anyone remembers it. Was it 2012? I can't remember the year. It was the Kiffin going up against. Now I remember this part. I think it was against Kelly, not Helfrich, right? God, it's all blending together. But where they had that big shootout in the Coliseum, it's like the Ducks got this lead. They got like this 10-point lead, and then they're two heavyweights trading those back and forth. I don't think the defense ever got off the bus, and they scored an insane amount of points in that game. But USC played from behind that entire. I was there in the Coliseum, the stands, going, "Okay, we need to stop here. Got to get back into this thing." And they kept trading touchdowns, and USC just kept scoring points, but never got that deficit back. And that was brutal to watch. I have that same feeling if we go into Austin again this year. I have that same feeling. So we got a call, Coach. You want to grab that really quick?
Sure.
All right. Hey, caller. Hi. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Caller, you there? Oh. They either had technical issues or stage fright. Either way, give us a call back. Appreciate you calling in. I'll say it again. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to stay on if we don't get phone calls. This is a call-in show. Appreciate you very much for being here. All of you guys. I know you guys have options this morning. Thank you guys for the phone calls. Thank you, Mitch and Marcus, by the way, started off really hot with some great phone calls. We have a new call coming in. Hi, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Jay, calling from San Diego. How you guys doing?
Jay, we're doing great. Thanks for calling in. You're on with me and the royalty. You got the coach on. This is a special edition. Coach is back from coaching here locally, and now we have him. You're coaching at Jordan. I got to watch your first game, which was awesome.
Yeah,
it's great. But you're on with the coach, Jay. What's on your mind?
Awesome. Glad to talk to both of you. Hey, listen, I'm a longtime Trojan, been following the Trojans since the early days of, Makai, Robinson, I've lived through the Ted Tollner, Larry Smith, Paul Hackett days. And so this is all a new, completely different era in college football. But I just had a question about the defense. And let's assume for a second we can agree that we don't need to have a top 10 defense to be competitive, right? With the Lincoln Riley offense and scheme. I think we've all sort of established that if we could just be good, right, we can be really competitive even in the Big Ten. So the question I have is, we all believe that we have the personnel, right? Assuming we all believe that we have the personnel to be competitive.
And Lincoln Riley, sorry to cut you off. And Lincoln Riley at the beginning of the season said that we did. He said he finally has a roster he feels like.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and I mean, do we agree that let's establish that. Do we all agree that, this roster is good enough? This defensive roster is good enough to be a good Trojan defense, not a great one. Don't need a top 10, but a good Trojan defense. Do we agree on that?
Coach, do you agree? If they put together 4 quarters, I agree they could be a good Trojan defense.
They're a good defense now. I'm not saying they're a terrible defense.
Yeah, but he's saying, Coach, I'm sorry. I think he's saying is, when you think about USC football, again, my dad calls them the glory boys. That's what they called them back in the day. They got the wide. We get the wide receivers. We had Keyshawn last night, right? We're always going to get those guys, on the team. I think, and the defense gets overshadowed, but the defenses at USC have really what made this program, in my opinion. The teams would come into the Coliseum freaking terrified. We talked about 2008. Can you imagine those linebackers and that they had to go up against? I think his point I hope I'm getting this right, Jay. I think I'm talking about, in general, you're saying one of the good Trojan defenses. Is that what you're saying? Or are you just saying good in general?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that they put together 4 quarters with this coaching staff and with the players that we have. I think it can be one of the good ones. Yes. This wouldn't be an average one. No.
Yeah. I'm not saying, yeah, I can agree with that.
So that being said, the question for me then really is, what's preventing us from being able to stop the run, right? Because this defense doesn't align with the historical defenses in Trojan history, right? So, and historically, Trojan defenses have been really good at stopping the run, even on teams that didn't compete for national championships. We always had a solid defense, right? The question is, given the fact that we have a very talented, coaching staff, right? I mean, you could argue we have a top 5 coaching staff, at least on paper. What is preventing us from being that consistently good defense that down in, down out, game in, game out, does a good job stopping the run? And I don't know if it's, and I'll listen to your response off the air. I'm just trying to figure out, are we just not able to coach up this group? Are we overinflating the talent of our coaching staff? What is it a Lincoln Riley issue, or what's stopping us from being consistently a good defense? Because if we put a good defense on the field, this team is talented enough everywhere else to be competitive. And I know we'll get better next year, and we have a great recruiting class coming in, and really in 27 is when you really can expect us to be like a problem for everybody. But I just think if we had a good defense, not a great one, a good one, even with the personnel that we have now, we could be really talented. And that's, I guess, the frustrating part, as a longtime, former alumni, former Trojan myself, it's challenging to see, us come to play and just cannot. I mean, just historically, we've been able to stop the run, and we just struggle so hard to do that. I'm just trying to figure out what you guys think is at the core of us not being able to get that done. Is it team? Is it inability to coach these players up? Or what's preventing us from taking that next step? I know we have made some progress, but it's just been slow in coming. So anyways, I appreciate you guys. Hey, Tim, I'm following you and Gabe, in the new podcast that you're doing. And I'm a watcher. I watch the show all the time. You guys do a great job. Love listening to you. And I appreciate you taking my call.
Oh, I appreciate you too. Just 2 things really quick. Thank you. I'm blessed to work with 2, two really great groups. Everyone here, Coach Jamal, Madman, and Ryan. It's great to be here. And then I've been friends with Gabe for ages now, and since we both started broken to YouTube. So I mean, it's just a blessing, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the kind words and checking out the podcast and watching our shows. And one quick correction for you though. Very clear. We are not across town. Once you're a Trojan, you're a Trojan for life. That's how that works. You cannot be an ex-Trojan. You can't. There's no such. That's not in the family vocabulary.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, former alumni. You still?
I get what Jay's saying. I get you.
I just meant, I've been a follower. I've been a follower since I was 11 years old. Right. I went to my first Trojan game at a homecoming game against Oregon State in a 52-0 route when Ricky Bell was the tailback. And so, from that moment on, I've been, a Trojan. Ultimately went to USC. And, a season ticket holder. I'm there every week. Was there last night. So it was a great atmosphere. And, I'm just meaning the former. I was an alumni. I'm alumni.
Awesome.
So, but I appreciate the show. And this is my first time caller. I'll definitely come back and check in with you guys from time to time, but I appreciate you guys taking the call.
Yeah, no, just really quick, since we got just really quick, can you just give us, there's a lot to digest really quickly. So we hit your question. What's your specific question again for Coach?
Why can't we stop the run?
Is it specifically the run game, right? Okay.
Yeah. What is it? What's preventing us from just the defense looks soft. It gets better as we go, but just from what's preventing us from taking that next step and just sort of consistently putting a good defensive product on the field week in and week out. If we all agree that we have the personnel to be a good defense, and why, what's taking, taking so long? Why,
I got you.
Why are we having challenges?
All right. Crush it.
I think that's the most answer that question. I think, we'd all, we'd have our answer. Obviously, we'd answer that question. We might be doing something else. We might be coaching, but that's just the $1 million question for me. So
that's a great call, and that's why we're giving it to the coach, because he is a coach and he's going to answer that for you right now. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate the call.
Experience. You mentioned it earlier. Like when you put a 19-year-old on a 23-year-old, right? Like Jakeem Stewart, all those guys on the interior are young, right? Even those linebackers haven't really played a lot, right? So it's just experience. We just have to let them grow, let the sun shine them on a little bit better, and we should get better with stopping the run. I saw that yesterday. It's not like they're getting beat. It's just little small mistakes. It's just bad placement. It's really experiments. They're not. I will say this, Tim. When we first got into the Big Ten, we were getting beat up, right? Michigan game proved it, right? We're not getting beat up anymore. Like, we're holding our own. It's just experience. It's just
experience, and also it's just depth. Yeah. I'll talk to him blue in the face. I'm not calling one out by name because I don't like what I'm about to say, but it's truth. We got to talk. Hey, listen. There's a lot of people in USC space that will tell you how, a lot of stuff, but we do try to keep it real here. And we just didn't have the players. I'm not going to call players out by name, but we were playing guys that were true Trojans. They spilled blood, sweat, and tears on Howard Jones Field for years and fought for you guys every game, but they weren't. They just
good enough. Go ahead. I'll say it. They weren't good enough.
I will say, I don't know about the good part. I would say that they just had physical limitations that we no longer kind of have on our lines now. That's how I think I put that fairly. To say, I hear a lot of people saying that, we're not going to be competitive. We can't look for a big jump in 26. Here's one thing though. The majority of this offensive line coming back. The vast majority of this defensive line is coming back. Except for Eric Gentry, which is a big exception. Our linebackers are coming back. We're going to lose both our, starting safety / nickel / corner, as coach said. We're losing a big part of the defense. We're losing probably two very integral parts of the second and third level. But this team's coming back, especially in the trenches. USC is going to be very strong. You mix in a couple of impact level players on the defense and offense. Give me two on each side, which is what we call the NIL, or the free agency market. You look at the true freshmen this year. Look at Desmond Stevens last year. Look at Boucard this year, who had an impact early on. I mean, I know he's been dinged up, but expect special teams for him. You're not going to wait till 27 for him. Watch him splash next year. Obviously, we talk about Jakeem Stewart, who's just next level. And that dude reclassified. That guy should, you want to hear a scary thought, you guys? Can you imagine being an opposing quarterback coach and having that dude in high school on the other side of the line? It reminds me of my brother. Who played at Bosco. He's a tight end at St. John Bosco. And they were going against this school. Coach, I think you've heard of them in Long Beach. They're going against Long Beach Poly. And they're going against Long Beach Poly. And there's this little linebacker called Willie McGinst on that team. And my brother's lining up. He says they're watching game film and they're saying, I can't remember, I can't get the story right, but they're saying something about the lines like either at Poly they called him God, or his nickname was God from the defensive staff. They were calling him God. Either way, my brother was lining up against God on the other side of the line. So I get it. Can you imagine having to block or play against Boucard, really more especially Jakeem Stewart? I mean, that's just next level. I'm not comparing him to Hall of Famer Willie McGinnis. Do not go crazy on me, but what we've seen for him as a freshman is something else.
Yeah, he's been serviceable and he's been good. His name has been called, right? Like we see how good he can be. He's not as they would say, bust.
He's been dominant, coach. He's been throwing guys around. He's been throwing. Remember, talking about those 22-year-olds. He's throwing some 22-year-olds around like they're rag dolls. So and his get off and his burst, he's violent with his hands. I do think you're right. I think he had experience. But you said experience. I'm going to put it out here as well. I don't think guys are doing their job, coach. I know they're being coached up. I think some guys are going on holiday and saying, hold on, I'll make this play. And then they're not gap sound. Early on, we saw that a lot. And they try to make up for the guy. They're not trusting the system. And the system is proven. Do your job.
Do your job. Yep.
And this defense, Jay, the run defense, you get those run fits. Do your job, and this defense can be stifling. What he did at UCLA is proof of that. The improvement we saw last year to year, is proof of that. This year, I think it just hasn't translated, and I think it's because guys aren't doing their job. That's my guess. So.
No, that all makes sense. That's. I mean, I appreciate the response. I mean, the other part of it is that college football is a revolving door, right? You only have these kids for a short period of time. So, while you do need some time to coach them up, you still have to be able to get. In some years, you got to get the max out of a freshman, right? The max out of a sophomore, right? And you got to be able to get them to step up in times where we're only looking at it, especially with NIL today, you're only looking at a 2 to 3 year window where you might have some really great years from an individual before they're, in the draft. So,
or maybe Jay, I don't want to cut you off. But maybe you'll have them for spring ball, because that happens too in NIL. You get a guy come in who's supposed to be your starting defensive tackle. I'll even say his name, Rakes. Rakes comes in, and then all of a sudden he's out before he even begins last year, which kind of was one of the biggest issues we had on the defense last year. We had a lot of talent, but they got caught short on the interior of that defensive line. And why? Because they had one of our players. He was a Trojan, and so I'm not going to really name him, but he bailed. And then you had Rakes leave in the spring, and then you had Bear Alexander leave. What was that? 3, 4, 5 games into the season
after the Michigan game.
Right.
So I mean, so if you want to look at the reasons with NIL, Jay, shoot, you're lucky you had them for 1 year, because we've seen experiences where guys don't even make it through spring ball before they're out. Or sorry, they make it through spring ball, but then they're gone. Which reminds me also, we talked about that Lynn defense's first year. You had what's his name? The nose tackle that went to UCLA after being here for the spring. Like, you get a guy, you sign him, he comes for the spring, and he's gone. Oh gosh, I forgot his name. Polynesian player. I forgot his name. But anyway, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to bring that point up. It's not 1, 2, 3 years. Sometimes it's.
So maybe you're answering my question, right? I think that it's a multifaceted equation, right? It's not just, do you have the best players? It's a combination of, can you thrive in a college environment where you have NIL and, a portal and, a very short, sort of college career, for these individuals where you're recruiting and just a whole number. And then there's the coaching development and all that stuff that you have to factor into it. I guess you just have to have a good, I guess you just have to have a good, recipe, right? I mean, we just got to figure out what the right recipe is for getting good talent, being able to develop that talent quickly so that it translates from the practice field to, the game time, in enough time, to have an impact in the college rankings before we start losing these kids, right? Like we got to figure out what Ohio State is doing, right? And as much as I hate to say this, but the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Oklahomas, the Oregons as of late, right? We got to get back into that mix. And I know we're doing that from a talent perspective, and we have the coaching staff in place. So maybe it's just a be patient and let the process unfold. I mean, we are making progress. So I'm not suggesting that we're not, but to be I'm just so used to us being a perennial powerhouse, right? For the last 50 years. I'm old enough now I can say that, but to be able to compete every year, right? And you have some years where you drop the ball on recruiting and a number of other issues, and we were obviously late to get into the NIL game, and so a little bit of a setback. So I mean, we're playing catch up to some degree, but I feel like we're heading in the right place. But it just seems like from a pure fan perspective, right, as you're watching, you're like, what's taking this defense so hard to, like, especially when teams are just we know and should expect teams are just going to run on it, right, until we establish the fact that we're going to be hard to run on, right? And it's like that should be such a point of emphasis, and I can't believe that it's not, yet still really struggle to get there. Anyways, I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you guys. I'm going to get off the call and let you guys respond to that. Appreciate you and hope to talk to you guys soon.
Jay, thank you. Anything for a fellow Trojan, a fellow Trojan alum? Love hearing from you. Appreciate the call and thank you for supporting the show, you guys. That's the best way you can support the show. Another way you guys can support, if you don't want to call in, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We are actually crushing it in subscriptions. We thank you guys so much for that. Tell your friends about the shows. Appreciate everyone being here. I would say one more thing to Jay regarding just the defense in general. I don't think I kind of got off topic there, but I think with the young guys we have, with the trenches we have, with the upcoming portal, and then maybe a couple of these guys translating from defense almost right away, there are some dudes coming in that 26 class that can be in the mold that we're seeing of like Buchard and Stewart. I'm not saying they're going to be massive impact, but they're going to be solid contributors. And so coach will tell you this, the more you stack defensive lines, the better. The more you stack your, like, I started the season saying I feel comfortable us going 6 deep on the offensive line. And now I'm not talking about for the marquee matchups. I'm not talking about when we go up into Autzen, when we play against Notre Dame, at South Bend. I'm talking about just in the Big Ten and in general. I'm really comfortable now. I mean, Coach, I don't know about you, but I feel really comfortable going 7, 8 deep now on this offensive line. And I think they kind of showed that with Kalon Miller coming out and putting in some really good snaps and contributing in the previous game. So, and one more thing, also, you brought up you lumped Michigan into that group. Now, if we're talking about 2023 Michigan, I'm all with you. We're not there yet. But USC in 2024, and we beat them. We handily beat them. They got that late touchdown. Remember when on a crazy play on a long pass play. Otherwise, USC wins that game, you guys, 31-6, I think, or 31-7, whatever it was. So I mean, USC dominated them this year. They lost. They should have won that game when Jacoby Lane caught that touchdown in Ann Arbor last year. And there was like 2 minutes and change, they were people funneling out of the big house because they knew their team, was not going to be able to run the ball down the field. Well, little do they know that we're going to miss 2 tackles. 2 guys that are great tacklers missed tackles on that play, and they bust that big play, which led to an egregious holding call at the goal line, and they ended up squeaking it out at the very end. So I'm not going to put Michigan at that level. We should be 2-0 in the Big Ten against Michigan, and I'll argue anyone's point at that. I mean, tackling's part of the game, but that was pretty fluky. This year when we played Michigan, Coach, nothing fluky about what we did to Michigan this year.
We beat them. We beat them.
We beat them down this year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, we're at that point again where we don't have any calls. I do have Coach. We can hang out and talk for a little bit. We got a couple pretty good comments in the chat, but it looks like the chat's slowed down. I see all you guys out there still watching. We'll stay on as long as you want to call in. Jamie Perez, thank you. Jaime Perez calls in. Jaime, and says Jay Toia. I've heard it both ways. Is Jay Toia or Jay Toia, however you want to pronounce his name, was a force inside. And he came here. He signs. I mean, you'll love this, Coach. Can you imagine? Let's say that you signed at USC, right? You're a high school kid. You come in, you sign a scholarship with USC, and then you go, you know what? I don't like what's going on here in the spring. I think I'm gonna leave, and I'm not gonna sit out a single game and go across town to your rival and play for their defense. And that's exactly what happened in that situation. So we end up having NIL shrink your career at a school down to 1-2 years. It could be even a spring, and got USC has 2 examples of that in consecutive years. So
that Rakes kid did it too, right? That Rakes kid did it and ended up going back to Florida or something like that.
Yeah, Rakes came over here. Where was he from? Was Mississippi State. He came here for a cup of tea, spring ball, and then just bounced back out. And I think it was Matt Zemek over at Voice of College Football and Trojans Wire who brought up this point. There's a rule that you can't transfer without sitting out. Even with his new rules, back then you couldn't transfer from one SEC school to another. They had it in their bylaws or whatever it might be that you can't do. You would have to sit if you transfer interconference. And the way he got around it was he transfers to USC, and then from USC transfer to another SEC school, therefore kind of circumnavigating that loop. And
he should have just went to Georgia Southern or something like that.
Well, I mean, I think he also I think he was living the high life here. He probably had NIL. He probably had a nice, probably not as nice as Kayla's, but he probably had a nice apartment, downtown overlooking LA. Maybe it's somewhere in the South Bay. Who knows? So if you're gonna take a vacation, in the spring, why not come to USC in Southern California and do it?
I wish they had NIL when I played.
Yep.
Just give me an apartment and a car and $30,000 and I'm good. That's all I needed.
We gotta. This is a side topic, and I don't know if we get in trouble for talking about it because it is truly none of my business. People's money is their money, and whatever. But we're wondering if Kevin, who saw Longstreet, did he burn his redshirt year? Because I was talking to another photographer at the game, thinking, these kids. Let's just say, I think Longstreet.
No. Let me clarify the rule. You get 4 games.
Right. No, I got you. But remember, he played in all his mop-up games. So he played in the 2. He definitely played in the 2 games that we had that are non-conference, right? Missouri State. He played in that game, and Georgia Southern. He played both of those. And then he played at Michigan. He had that. Was it Michigan or Notre Dame where they had the it was Notre Dame where he took the ball off. So that's at least 3 games. And I'm not sure, but I thought he played a package at Michigan. I don't know. And there you're already at 4 or so. If he played any other games in there, we were thinking, shoot, think about it. You have, let's just say for whatever reason, because crazy stuff happens, all counts, he's going to the NFL, at some point in his career. If not after 3 years, 4 years, whatever it takes, right? But now, can you imagine kids? Let's just say they're not. Whatever it turns out, whatever something about he gets an injury, whatever. He's not the same. You could still go to somewhere, and especially as a quarterback, right? Go somewhere and make $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, which is life changing money for a 22, 23-year-old.
Yeah.
So more than ever, especially at quarterback position, unless you are a sure shot, and nothing's sure in life. Now, and I'm not saying it's the right call. I'm not questioning it. I'm saying you kind of got to look at how important having that year of eligibility, if you're only going to get no meaningful snaps. And I guess I answered my own question. There's no.
I don't think he burned it because he didn't take snaps last night.
No, I didn't know. We had this conversation before because he was warming up on the sidelines a couple of times during the game. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I think it was Heward came in, correct?
Yeah.
So I mean, you're right. So maybe he's at his 4 and not too bad. We just thought about it. Wasn't that he had burned it. It wasn't that we don't think he should burn it. We just started thinking about, you know, how important, how much money you now can make as a 5th-year quarterback. This is going to go to some, you know, mid-level contender that needs a quarterback. You can make some pretty good money, especially the money they're throwing around. And at that position like quarterback, that's a real big one. Here's one for you guys, and the chat, and for you, Coach. So he's saying that SC might play Notre Dame in Vegas. I haven't heard that, but quite frankly,
I don't think they'll do that though. They won't.
Why would you not play in the Notre Dame game in the USC? What makes it special is playing at Notre Dame Stadium, is playing in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, playing in a neutral field. It would just be. Can you imagine that game played, you know, at SoFi or at Jerry's World? I'm don't even play the game.
The only thing that makes sense. The only thing that makes sense. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry about that. The only thing that makes sense is having it as the season opener at either one. Them being the season. In fact, they play on Monday, that Labor Day. They are the featured game.
Yeah, I've said this going back to when we joined the Big Ten, and we were all talking about travel. This was at the other channel I was on. I said this game makes sense week 0, not at the end of a Big Ten season, not in the middle of a Big Ten season. We know the SEC plays their cupcake. They play a non-con game like in the 11th week or 10th week, whatever they play it. They play it late in the season. But that's just a glorified bye. They're not playing a Notre Dame team. Right. I said that USC, this game makes total sense for USC now that it's joined the Big Ten to play this game in week 0, because then you have the whole season. It's great because the coaching staffs have the whole season prepare for it, the off season. You play the game. If there's an injury, God forbid, in the game, you're going to get them back midway through or towards the end of Big Ten, a significant injury. You're going to get him midway through Big Ten play, and then he's not gone for the whole year. There's all kinds of benefits to this happening, and why it should happen this way.
This too, it doesn't affect your college football ranking. Win or lose. If that's your only win, I mean, not your only win. If that's your only loss, you still have a really good shot at getting in. Yeah, you start in the top 10, you dropped like 14 or 15. You still have the whole season to pull yourself back into 12. I totally agree on that note as well. It's just there's absolutely no benefit playing this game early. It has to be played though. But no, my God, if they play it, they play it at SoFi or they play it at Allegiant or they play it at Jerry World. I mean, it's like, no, I don't want any part of that because I've been to Notre Dame Stadium before. I know you've been to Notre Dame. This was the first time I got to be. You've been on the field. I was on the field with the camera, and it's just such a special place. I mean, even before that, just going to the stadium, the fan, the grotto, the campus, everything that got going, except for the city itself. I'm sorry, but I mean, other than that, you know, I don't know anything about the city. We stayed at Michigan City when we played them.
Okay. I've actually stayed driving across country one time in Michigan City because I got family in Michigan, actually. We just couldn't make the drive. We said, we're done. We're going to stop here. It was so close too. But I mean, I get you. I want to see this game, but I don't want to see it. Oh, and there's precedent, by the way. So we all know the fact that SC, John McKay, they moved the game so it wasn't played but in November because it was too damn cold. Guys were getting literally getting frostbite in South Bend. So the game was moved to October. Another precedent. Notre Dame stopped playing Purdue, which they played every year. They're playing, I believe they're playing next year, but they stopped playing them every year, and they stopped playing Michigan State. Michigan has been off and on forever, going back to when Fritz Chrysler was the AD, and there were issues with calling them cheaters, whatever. And so they just stopped that whole rivalry for like, was it 40 years or so? But Michigan State, they played every single year. It was a hell of a rivalry. And they stopped playing it. And the reason why I said they stopped playing it is because D'Antonio was getting the better of that rivalry, by the way, number one. But number two, they're saying, oh, well, it's just too tough of a non-con game now that we're playing these ACC games. And they're not even playing a full ACC schedule. So SC asking them to move the game. And the only thing is changing is that they're moving the game from being October, November to being a week 0 game late in August. I'm sorry. If they back out of that, then, it is an opportunity to keep this thing going. And it's using precedent they set when they're saying joining the ACC, which is not the Big Ten.
Yeah.
That would be hypocritical for them not to continue.
Look out, Wake Forest. I know that's look out, Notre Dame. Here comes Wake Forest.
Yeah. Yeah. But ACC's got some pretty good teams this year. I mean, I think Virginia's playing great ball. SMU, Miami, so there's some talented teams, in the ACC. Georgia Tech playing good ball, but I mean, it's not the Big Ten, and it's kind of hard to think that this isn't going to happen. I still think, Coach, at the end it's going to happen. They're going to get the game going, but we're winding down. Again, I told you guys I would stay here as long as we had phone calls. I'll drop one last time in StreamYard because I woke up at 9 o'clock in the morning for this, guys. So, you guys want to go ahead and give us a call? It is a call-in show. I appreciate you being here, Coach.
Yeah, no problem.
It was a really pleasant surprise. I probably would have been gone here a while ago if you hadn't showed up. But I do appreciate. I do want to talk about the adjustments on defense. We're probably gonna get into that a little bit. We are not doing it for this, as you're seeing right here, Coach. We're probably not doing a live show on Mondays anymore, but we are still going to keep the call-in show. Sorry, we're not going to do a call-in show on Mondays. I think we're switching it to a live show, and then on Wednesdays we're going to be doing the call-in show. That's in the mix. We didn't do a call-in show on last Monday, but is there anything you want to get off your chest? I mean, we covered a lot here. I mean,
no, I already got it off my chest. I'm all good. Let's go enjoy our Saturdays, Tim. Go get some Kingsford and some steaks. Oh,
that sounds, it's a little bit early for steak, but I'm gonna go pick them up, yeah, and then we'll get grilling probably this afternoon. But great win, you guys. I mean, let's face it. Northwestern was not supposed to be a world beater. It started out pretty sloppy, but at the end of the game, King Miller. Sorry, did we talk about King Miller yet? Because I mean,
we did talk about King. We talked about him a little bit.
But just statistically, King Miller, this is the third game. Remember, he started really. He really started playing against Michigan when we lost both of our backs, and we did get to see him flash in those two long runs early in the season. But King Miller now has logged his third game over 100 yards. So Michigan, he had 158. At Notre Dame, took a step back with 70 yards. Nebraska 129, and Northwestern he got 127 yards. So
we're doing a show. You said there's a show on Monday. We need to talk about that issue that's been happening ever since Lincoln Riley has got there, and everybody keeps overlooking it.
What's that?
Injuries. I've never seen a football team with this caliber and these many resources have these many players injured every year, and it's always star players that are injured. Something's wrong.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean that could be a really good topic. There is no doubt there have been a lot of USC was lucky last year on the offensive line, and because we were thin. Like I said just earlier, I said I'm really comfortable with us going, 7, possibly even 8 deep on the offensive line, especially how versatile our lines are. But last year they weren't deep. They definitely weren't deep. All those guys we're playing now were just too green really to get out there. I mean, I know Tobias got out there a little bit. And played well. I know Elijah was playing. I know that you had Alani Noah playing, but a couple of injuries and this team was in a bit of hurry, a bit of trouble. And you're right though. I think this year the injuries on the offensive line and the injuries to running back, you could argue it. You could argue when you lose by 10 points and one of those is again as a kick return in South Bend in the rain and you're leading in the third quarter, having Elijah Page, how does that change the game? Having a Waymon Jordan and Elijah Page, how does that change the game?
Yeah.
So yeah, really good point on the injuries. I guess we could take that up. Love to hear people's thoughts on that. But thanks you guys. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. We are going to get out of here. Remember, check us out Monday. We're going to do probably a panel show on Monday, and then we are going to do the call-in show. It's going to be on Wednesdays. Okay. Bye down, you guys. Thank you, Coach, for staying in.
Tim. See you.
Appreciate you guys all being here. So thank you for those of you that's been here this long. If you've been here this long, do me a favor, hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, why are you not subscribed? All right, you guys. Bye down. We'll see everybody on the next show on Monday.